Hey everyone, welcome to another day of WallBuilders, the one-room schoolhouse. We have a brand new artifact that just came in recently, and I think it's probably the most impressive artifact we've ever collected.
Agreed.
I mean, every time I look at it, I feel impressed. You feel impressed.
You're gonna love this. You'll be highly impressed with this.
I mean,
it will make an impression on you when we see what we have today.
Yeah,
it will.
It really puts a dent in things.
Yeah,
you know?
it will. It will.
It'll knock your socks off. That's how impressive it is. I mean,
maybe not your socks, but
it'll knock something off. Knock your head off. How impressive
right.
it is. In fact, I could keep on talking for forever about how impressive this is.
Well, it's actually how impressive this is. This is an impressment stick. So that's a literal name of it.
Now, what does that
impress you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm impressed already just looking at it. But what does that mean, an impressment stick?
We're going to jump to the War of 1812. I'm wearing red, so I'm going to be the British. You're wearing blue, so you can be the American. And my British ships, I need a crew on my ships, and I'm running a little short.
I love cruises.
Yeah, there's going to be a cruise you'll remember. So I'm going to go ashore in Boston or Richmond or Savannah, whatever's got a port. I'm going to go ashore, and I'm going to say, man, you look like you could be a sea. I am now impressing you into the British service. So I will knock you across the head, have my guys drag you out. I will throw you on the ship, and you will now be a lifetime sailor.
So it's kind of like a billy club or something. Basically, they would just beat American sailors into becoming British sailors in the Navy, and that was called impressment. And so this actually played a huge role in early American history, right?
Well, it's part of the American Revolution, and one of the things that the British would do is they would impress their own citizens when they needed guys and life at sea was really tough, and especially if you're on a warship, a British warship, and you're fighting everybody all the time, it is just a rough life, and you're always short of sailors. And so, since the Americans were British at the time, and British had the greatest navy in the world at the time of the American Revolution, they would impress Americans into their ships as well. And Americans didn't like that because there's so many
obviously.
things. Yeah, obviously. And so that was part of the cause of the American Revolution.
And then even after that, they never stopped, did they?
That's right. They kept going, which led to the War of 1812. Now, the War of 1812 is really over broken promises. At the end of the American Revolution, the British signed a peace treaty. They say, okay, we're going to let you guys do this, we'll do this. They didn't keep their word. And so the War of 1812 is often called the Second American Revolution because the promises that the British didn't keep at the first one, they just weren't keeping in practice. And quite frankly, they kind of thought the American Revolution was a fluke, that they shouldn't have lost that anyway. So there's no reason to keep their word because we can't do anything about it. We really don't have a navy. There's nothing we're going to do. So they kept doing the same bad practices, including impressing Americans.
Yeah. That was actually one of the main things that impelled America to go to war because so many American ships were being raided. I mean, thousands of seamen, American citizens, both black and white, were actually being basically forced into slavery by the British, so much so that America, as negotiations failed, eventually we just had to declare war on England in order to get them to stop stealing our citizens.
And this was a very persuasive tool. If I said, do you want to come on my ship? You're going to say no. And I'm going to say, yeah, you do. And so what it is, this is twisted wicker here in the middle. And on the end is a cast iron ball that's kind of attached here. It's just wrapped on. It's got some canvas over the end of it. And this thing, I mean, if I lay that upside your head.
Yeah, that would hurt.
That's going to hurt. And so this is really a lot of what the War of 1812 is about, getting the British to back off, realize we are an independent nation. We're not your stepchildren. We are an independent nation. Leave us alone. And so this is a really big part of the American Revolution and part of the War of 1812.
Yep. If you want to find out more about this, obviously go to wallbuilders.com, but a really good book I would recommend people to read. You can find it on Google Books. It's a book by a very famous historian from the late 1800s called Benjamin Lossing, and this book specifically is called the Pictorial Field Book of the War of 1812, and it's really good. It has a ton of pictures, a ton of engravings, but it goes into really deep detail about impressment and the controversy surrounding that. So Benjamin Lossing's book, The Pictorial Field Book of the War of 1812.
You're also going to find there a bunch of black history. There's a lot of black history where he interviews a lot of the black sailors involved. A lot of black sailors were heroes in several American battles. William Nell, who later does a book on the black patriots of the American Revolution and the War of 1812. A lot of it's going to be these guys right here. So this also kind of goes counter-narrative to even the 1619 stuff that's out there. So that is a great book. And if you get into Benson Lowson and say, I really like this, he's also got the Field Book of the American Revolution, which is just as cool, just as good.
Yeah.
Also a lot of black heroes there as well.
So join us next time on One Room Schoolhouse as we go over more fun, amazing, and forgotten history from America's past.